What's up, guys? Drew here. Welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. It's week 250 and we are discussing hell or the underworld or those sort of concepts and our thoughts on them. Do we believe in it? What have you? All right, first let me say that while I do have it in the back of my mind and I understand that when other people speak of or think of the underworld, they have something akin to hell, Greek mythology and Hades and what have you in mind when they use that terminology. But that's, while it's in the back of my mind and I do listen for context to see which filter I should use in interpreting what someone else might be saying or expressing or talking about. For me personally, the first thing that kind of pops to mind, my sort of stream of thought when it comes to underworld is more akin with shamanic mindsets and concepts and practices and what have you. So in that context, the underworld is a place to go during journey, for example, to do deep psychological and emotional healing that can also manifest physical healing. And I'm oversimplifying everything, but you could go in and work with guides or spirit animals or a seasoned practitioner who knows what they're doing to do this sort of work. So in that context, you have the upper and lower worlds. So when anyone uses the terminology underworld, I'm kind of split. I'm kind of waiting to see where they're going with it. Okay, so now let's get into what the video is really supposed to be about. The idea of the underworld and hell in the context of a place where you go after you die, hell being one that's very unpleasant, right? Tortured for all eternity, what have you. This is the concept of hell that's put forward with the Abrahamic faiths, really. And there may be others, I don't know. I am not an expert or authority on all religions of all times and places, right? Technically, I don't believe in hell. It's a little more complicated than that, right? I do not believe in these places the way they have been presented to me by faiths of the world. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't buy into it. Having said that, it's much more complicated than that, I think. I'm going to try to get into it without being overly confusing or wasting anyone's time. Essentially, okay, when I was in high school, my concept of these ideas was basically that when we died, if we thought we deserved good things, then we would go to heaven. And if we thought we deserved bad things, to be punished, what have you, then we would go to hell. And again, I wasn't Christian at all. And I had been exposed to it enough to know that it wasn't right and that it didn't fit. I was just sort of feeling things out, really, I guess. I still kind of feel that way, but it's much more complicated now that I'm an adult and have been for quite some time. I've had a lot of time to think about this and how I feel about it and what have you in the context of reality, in the context of psychology, in the context of my personal spiritual path, so on and so forth. And I believe that it's possible that these places exist, right? So I believe it's possible that the underworld and hell and purgatory and heaven and the Summerland and Valhalla and Shangri-La, all of these places could exist, right? But for me, they're not the end all be all, even if they do. So I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we can come back and live again, and that many have over and over again. But I do not believe that it is a necessity. I do not believe that you have to. For me, the idea that just resonates and settles within me is this idea that there's something much larger happening. I can't quite put my finger on that, but maybe it's a learning experience. Maybe it is spirit exploring itself, like the universe, like everything sort of exploring itself, and like a baby would almost, I don't pretend to understand the big picture fully, right? At all. But I do believe there is a big picture, and that coming to earth and living a life or being on any other plane of existence, which could be hell and heaven and Valhalla and, whatever, purgatory. There could be so many dimensions or realms of existence out there that in my mind would serve a higher purpose on some level to be part of. For instance, if the idea is to learn and to experience and grow, I personally believe that learning things on this earth plane, for example, is much more intense. It happens much more quickly. It's like I can read about doing something all day long and have the knowledge, but it's when I go to do it and I'm actually doing the thing, like riding a bike, for example, I'm not going to be great at it at first. It takes practice and I'll get better and better and get more experience. This life, this world, this realm is an experiential thing, right? So I think different realms may have different intensity in their experience and in their ability to learn and grow and gain wisdom and what have you. And of course, different lessons, different experiences can be had and learned in these different realms of existence and what have you. So whatever. Of course, I know nothing. But I do believe that there is the potential for these places that religions or people claim. There are people who have had near-death experiences and claim to have gone to either heaven or hell, their version of. And maybe they did. Their understanding of what happened may be askew. Because I don't believe that if you come to earth and you live and you do horrible things, that you're going to die and burn in hell for all eternity. That does not resonate with me. I don't buy into it. But that doesn't mean that some concept of hell couldn't possibly exist. I don't know. Ultimately, that's I don't know. I do not believe in the Abrahamic idea of heaven and hell. But I'll just keep talking in circles if I keep going on with this. So I'm going to stop. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So drop me a comment if you have anything to add. And until next time, much love and gratitude.